Hi, this is Destiny with PLP, Pure Light Podcast.
And this is Kaalidaas. Hello, everybody.
So, Kaalidaas. I was sleeping last night and I had this weird dream.
Okay, a weird dream.
No, okay. Okay, I'll be serious. No, I had this dream, and because I really feel like dreams are very insightful, and because, you know, they kind of reflect on what you're going through in your life or maybe something that happened to you during that day. And so, do you agree?
Yeah, no, I definitely do.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, do you take your dreams seriously?
Yeah, I mean, most of them. Some of them I think are just a little ridiculous, but the other ones, I definitely see the pattern or resemblance, how it connects with my life.
Yeah, because I do believe, I'm not looking for meanings, let's say, or I don't really think that they predict the future. I don't mean it in those terms, but I think that they can kind of help you as far as, you know, dealing with your perceptions of things or your feelings about things. Do you agree?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
it uncovers things.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I saw this dog, and it was growling at me. It was like a German Shepherd, and I thought it was going to bite me. And I was really scared. And then I realized, I thought to myself, wait a second, but I love dogs. I have 2 dogs myself. I love them. And I went up to the dog, even though it was all ferocious and everything, and I started petting it because I really felt love for this animal. And so then today I was thinking to myself, God, what does that mean? What can I take away from this? And then I thought, you know, it's because I get scared of things. Like right now I'm afraid of, you know, failing at my business, and I'm so afraid of, you know, putting all this effort into it and this time and money and energy and having it not work out. That is kind of paralyzing me a little bit. And, you know, this fear is preventing me from taking the necessary steps to make it successful. So that's what I was feeling like in my dream, that dog represented. That, you know, I really do love what I do. I love my profession. And so kind of like how I feel about dogs. And so I thought that maybe that's what it was about. That if I take away the fear, then I could love the animal. And does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
sorry.
making
I don't want
sense.
to.
No, I'm
I don't
following
mean to
you.
ramble.
I'm following you. Yeah, I feel like the dog represents your attraction and fear of, you know, being successful in your own business, and the fear of failure, the fear of not making it there and getting hurt. The dog's warning you that it's going to bite you, and it's all ferocious and it's terrifying looking, but you see that you love the dog, right? You said that you had love for the animal, which shows that you love what you do in your business. So, I mean, of course, that's definitely showing you subconsciously what's going on inside. And that means that you need to go in and really look at that further, right? So if you have a fear of moving forward in your business and doing the things that you need to do, you may find that this dog and the dream has something to do with that, and it's letting you know, hey, like tapping on your shoulder, like, you need to look at this. And once you address this thing, all these other things in your life will change, which I feel like you're really going to go for it 100% once you go in and do the inward work of dealing with the fears and the removal of those. So I just feel like the dog represents that for you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then what do I do now, as far as, okay, so now that I realize that my fear is really standing in my way of being successful, and, you know, it's preventing me from getting me to go, well, I guess where I need to go.
Right. So it's inhibiting you from moving in the direction that you need to go and taking those necessary steps to get the outcome that you desire, right?
Right. And I just felt like in my dream, what I really felt like was that if I just reframe my thinking or reframe, I mean, gosh, how would you say that?
Yeah, reframe or restructure.
Yeah.
Restructure the way that the picture that's painted in front of you.
Exactly, because the minute I realized and I looked at that dog, even as ferocious as it was, that right when I thought to myself, no, I love dogs, that then I wasn't afraid anymore and I started petting it. And of course it wasn't growling or anything anymore. You know, it was all docile and stuff. And that I was able to change it like instantaneously, just like that.
Yeah, so what was a threat to you before is now something cute and cuddly that you've noticed that you've always loved. So, you know, the same thing with clients. If you're afraid of going out and finding the clients and meeting them and speaking to them or contacting them in a certain way, whether it's via the internet or through telephone, that has to do with, you know, being afraid of the dog, but it's how you're looking at it, because you're looking at it as this terrifying, ferocious thing, and you have the unknown, which is the unknown is in the dream is it going to bite you or not? Is it painful? Is it going to hurt you? Are you going to get rejected from, you know, reaching out to someone and trying to get them as a client? But then on the flip side, it's also, but then when you change your perspective and you saw it in another way, which is a more positive and uplifting way, it's like, no, wait a minute, I love the dog, right? But it's, I love people. I love working with people. I love doing what I do. And of course I love to talk to people and get to know them better and establish those bonds and connections.
Mm-hmm.
So it changes the whole way you go about it. Instead of fighting like, oh, I got to force myself to go out there and find clients or do whatever you're doing with your business. Now it's, you know, I love meeting new people and I get the opportunity to go out and do that. And it's for my own business. So it's pretty motivating to work for yourself and be free and move forward with the dreams that you have and try to anchor them into concrete reality. And doing that process is fun in itself. And when you look at it that way, it's motivating and inspiring instead of creating more blocks and delays and procrastination and hesitation from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes back to removing those fears and those limiting beliefs, because we get these limiting beliefs inside, deeply embedded inside of our consciousness through trauma and through programming and through the media, through advertising and many different forms and channels that they come to our mind's front doorstep. And if we just have an open, unlocked door where anybody can walk through and send whatever into our mind, we're going to have these negative, deep-seated beliefs, that are resonating at such a low frequency that they drag us down. And they make us see things through that filter, which is a dirty, negative filter.
Yeah, you know, there are days where I feel pretty down, just to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I get... I don't know. I can't explain it. I mean, okay, there's some days where I wake up and I feel like I can conquer the world. And then there are days where I don't even want to get out of bed. I just don't feel all that great, or I feel kind of tired and sluggish, or just sort of down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, this has to do with the variance inside your mind and your subconscious mind, the gap between what you consciously believe should be happening to you, or what you believe you should be feeling at a certain time, and what actually is happening. And from that gap you create this dissonance, which creates this flux of going up and down, because some days you have good days and other days you have bad days in real life, you know, meaning, you know, some days you got a lot done and you met the right people and everything's going good, and then the next day there's nothing and there's a huge lull, you know, and then there's another lull. And then something good happens this day, but then you recreate this pattern. Let's say the next month, you feel good certain days that match the last month's days that you felt good and had good things happening, and then you feel bad on the days when you didn't have anything good happening. And this programming goes back months and months, years and years, to where you just repeat. These are called mood swings, And some are less extreme than others, but that just meant some people have really, really good days and really, really poor days. That doesn't, and their emotional vibrational frequency is not just in one little zone, it's in a big zone, which is okay. But the deal here is that you need to be doing the inner conscious work, the inner consciousness work. You need to go into your subconscious and clear out any of these negative beliefs and install these positive program systems. Because if you're doing all this work to change and be a positive person and have a positive outcome and then you don't, it's because you haven't done the work of going really deep inside through either self-hypnosis or a hypnotherapy session, or doing deep meditative work where the layers of your onion or your consciousness levels peel back to where you get to see the framework of your actual thoughts and how they work, and you get to see how you're manifesting your reality. You get to witness the process behind you manufacturing and creating your own reality. And when you do that, you get to change it. And you get the tools through self-hypnosis or through the loop theory, which is, the book I'm writing, Getting Out of the Loop, has to do with, using tools, some of the stuff that we already talked about, like mantras or those things, but going into the deeper layers of the embedded programming and modifying them or changing them so when your thought comes from there and it bubbles up in your consciousness from the subconscious, it's what you want instead of what you don't want. Because if you don't do the work, the affirmation work, and you don't do the clearing, you're going to have whatever's been put in there, and what's been put in there is negative and limiting.
Okay, so you're saying that hypnotherapy can help with this?
Yes, hypnotherapy is, I think, a great tool to have someone on the outside help change the picture that's in your mind, help change the framework.
Well, I feel like I hypnotized myself last night in my dream.
I think you did. I think that your subconscious mind reached out to you.
Okay.
Well, no, I think you did in a way, because your subconscious mind really reached out and said, hey, you can change a negative thing to a positive, and here's how.
Yeah, like Pitbull.
Like Pitbull.
Yeah, in his song when he said...
the rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that song.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the song.
He went from a negative to a positive, and...
yeah, and he just wants you to know that.
Yeah, he wants you to know that. Well, hey, it's a good message to put out there, because, a lot of hip-hop started out that way, where it was underprivileged people in the ghettos that were rapping about having everything that they didn't have. But since they were rapping about having it, they ended up manifesting it.
Oh, nice.
So that's how it began, and then it got all twisted into violence and this other crazy stuff, because there's a legend or a story that rumor has it that there's these investors that bought a prison, and then they wanted all the hip hop music to turn into this violence because they were affecting the youth the most.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a whole conspiracy thing that's out there. Take it or leave it.
Weird.
But it sure seemed like that. So, but the African Bambaataa and the original drummings and stuff that they would do live, and the beatboxing and all the different elements of hip hop were all based upon spirituality and raising your vibration and through creative expression, and then manifesting things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a cool way to look at it. But that's why we listen to music too, because have you ever had those down days where you just need to listen to either a song that's completely opposite to where you are, that brings you out of that negative frequency into something positive, and then you have those other songs that are negative that match your vibration, so you can feel the feeling and let it out.
Absolutely.
Right. So see, we use music as a tool, as a vibratory tool, because that's all music is a set frequency in a certain way that activates our DNA and gets us into a different state. And so we use whatever we can grasp on the outside to tune our own selves to a different frequency, to either raise or release or change and modulate ourselves. We're self-modulators. I like to use that term because we are living vibrational frequencies. And when you're modulating at a certain frequency, you have a certain experience. So if you're modulating in anger and irritability, every little thing that comes to you is going to be irritating.
Yeah,
Whether
like my daughter.
Okay, like your daughter.
Yeah, she's 15. Oh my God.
So she's
There's
an
no
irritant.
words right now.
She's an irritant.
Yeah.
But the thing is on some level of your
She just
consciousness.
says, I'm just moody. I'm like, well, look, honey, you can be moody all you want, but you don't need to be mean, okay? Jeez.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so, but you, on some level, you love her.
Well, of course I do.
Right.
Oh, I love that little thing.
Right. See, so like, but if you live from the perspective of the love, you'll be like happier. And if you focus on that love, but if you come from that irritation, and then she could say, hey, Mom, look at this, or whatever it is, or, you know, be her little moody self. And at one point you could say, oh, look at Natalie, she's being her moody self, and look how cute she is. Or you could be like, oh, what a monster, she's annoying.
Oh, yeah, no, I
You know.
never go there, ever.
Right.
Not with either one of my kids. I love them so much. I mean, if I didn't, they would have already been dead. I swear. I think I would have thrown them out the window.
You're gonna chop them up into pieces.
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, no, I mean, so that's where applying the positive perception shift, which is so easy, as you see in your dream. So you have this ferocious dog that's scary that could bite you, and all you do is say, no, but I love dogs. And then all of a sudden, no, now you love the dog, and the whole thing's changed. The whole vibe changed. And that's the same thing, you know, I've had dreams where I'm a little kid and I'm at a party and all the parents left, and then these criminals came in to get everybody, and everybody hides, and of course I hide behind the couch, the place where they're going to look, you know, and they find me, and, you know, but I'm trying to have this conversation with them, like, what are they into, you know? So I said, you know, I like to fish, and I'm saying all these things, and they're like, oh, well, we like fishing too, you know, and in the dream they're like, oh, we're sorry we have to do this to you. But it was like I made a friend out of them instead of, and, you know, being all afraid. So I changed being basically kidnapped, or, you know, had a criminal basically break into your house with no parents home when you're just a little kid. I changed that whole scary thing to like talking about things I liked and making common ground with these criminal people, because I came in control of my dream. And it was that simple. But in real life, I don't know, it'd be harder to put that to test, right? Because in a dream, you know, it's so easy to control and it's instant. And in life, we have a little bit of delay in between our thoughts. So when we think, okay, positive thought, no outcome yet, now I have doubt. But if you're in a dream and you think positive thought, instant change. But that doesn't mean you can't have the instant change in real life, which I've had too. So it's like I've had that, I'm sure you've had that too, where it's like you didn't feel like it going to the gym or doing the thing you had to, but then you're like, no, and you changed your mind, how you looked at it, and then you got the energy and the motivation to go and do it. So it's like, it's possible in your real life.
It's kind of like the Nike slogan, that old one from years ago.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you just do it. You don't think about it. You don't debate.
Sometimes you don't feel like just doing it. I mean, there are times when I do just do things, even if I don't feel like it or anything. But then there are times when I can't even do that, though.
Yeah, see, and that's where I talk about doing the work, because it's like a lot of times people will live in the positive light, and then when they fall, they go into this really dark, dirty place that every time they go there, all they do is throw up and then leave the room because they want to exit as fast as they can. But then they find that, you know, years later they are in that same room again, and it's just as dirty, and they just throw up one more time in there. And the point that I'm making here is that instead of only trying to float in this positive light space, why not clean the dirty room up? That is where you could end up landing. So it's kind of like making your landing a better place, your room a better place. So, okay, just because it's a small, shabby hotel room that you've made a mess of, doesn't mean you can't fix it up and make it nice just because you're temporarily in there. It's not a place to run away from and say, I hate this depressed state. I hate this low vibration. I want to get out of here as fast as I can, so I'm going to take some drugs, or I'm going to go out and dance, or I'm going to find a way to get myself out of here because I hate being in my own skin right now. Now, instead of grasping and clawing to get out of there, why not take a few tools down there with you and do some spelunking or scuba diving into those lower realms of your being, that unconscious realm, consciously going down there. Spelunking is like, it's like when you go into the caves and you are trying to search deep within the caves for crystals or something neat.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, and you can even scuba dive within there. So it's like you go into a cave, you go into water. No, it'd be fun. But I learned about it in my Mayan class. I mean, yeah, I'm down to go. And but you can find neat things in there, and that's the point of going deep into your subconscious mind, is finding these negative programming that's hidden within different beliefs or ideas or patterns of thought that you find and you clear out. And you do this through self-hypnosis, you do this through meditation, you do this through hypnotherapy, getting a hypnotherapy session with a professional, someone else that can guide you along into your spelunking, into your cave, so you can find these negative patterns and dismantle them and reprogram them to be something positive. So instead of saying, I don't have enough, I'm not going to make it, I'm worried about it failing, you take these useless thoughts, useless energy, and you change it into either action steps or positive reinforcements. Or instead of saying, forget the world, I'm not going to do anything, or I don't even feel like taking care of my obligations or seeing my kids or whatever it is, instead of you saying these things and going to that dark mode, when you're in the dark mode, if you do the programming mode now and you go into those layers consciously through hypnosis or meditation and you change these things, when you actually get there later for real in a real depression, you'll have all these positive programming fail-safes installed in the subconscious mind patterns, so that when you have these negative thoughts that are triggered, you trigger now these positive affirmations or these positive things, saying, instead of me saying F the world, I'm done, you say, I am going, even though I'm in this depressed temporary state, I know it will pass, and I'm going to go and take care of the people that I care about and take care of my obligations, so that when I'm out of this state, I don't wake up into a dirty room and a worse off environment than when I went unconscious into this darkness. And so since you realize that you're creating these positive programming statements in your mind and erasing the negative ones, so that when you go into that negative state, you have the tools, you have fail safes, you bring these things here, so that when you wake up there, you're like, oh my god, I'm in this negative state again, I'm in this room. But don't panic, because I got my flashlight, I got my fail safes, my tightrope is there, and I'm walking on it, but I have the other rope that's connecting me to the top, so even if I fall off, I'm not going to eat crap and die down there. I'm going to basically have a protection, a team that is you, yourself, and your higher self that are backing you up there, and your hypnotherapist or your energy healer, whoever else is also going in and removing blocks, because that corresponds to your mind as well. If you have an energetic defect or something in your chakra, that will bleed out into your emotional body, which will bleed out into your physical health, which it's all connected. So you need to get that work done. If you don't go and get that done, you could be eating 3 meals a day, you could be working out at the gym, but you're not healthy. And then you get depressed because you haven't been working on your mind health. You have to work on your mind health.
Well, sometimes you get depressed because of outside things happening to you too.
Of course.
Like a death or...
But see, that's the thing, is we do go through these grieving processes, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes they get exacerbated because there's no programming fail-safe guards around them. And some religious or spiritual people, you notice they can go through all these hard times and suffering, but they're always just happy people. But they have this spiritual programming in them too, that's deep down there, that they rely on. The Bible and what it says, or the groups that they go to and the statements they constantly say, are like their rock during these hard times. And even that will fail them sometimes, right? So that's why it's so important to have these tools there that you can fall back on and see when you're in those dark states. Because a lot of times when you're in that depressed, dark state, you can't see all these obviouses. You can't see how you can change the dog to a good thing. It's so painful. Just thinking about the dog hurts. So it's like you don't even want to think about the dog at all. You want to go somewhere else, and that's why you escape through movies, or you escape through drugs or artwork or whatever. And you use these escapes. But instead of just escaping, you can take control over the negative thought forms there and the negative tendencies to avert or go into aversion instead of going forward, you're going away or avoiding. Instead of going into that pain, you have the tools embedded there while you're conscious. That's what I'm saying. Do the work now. I'm about prevention. I'm also going to help you and give you advice to help you when you're in the state, which is all the things that I already give you anyway, talking about the positive mantras, etc. But if you can't reach those things because you're in such a dark place, there's no point in having those tools there, right? So the goal is to bring those tools with you down there. And the way to do that is through self-hypnosis, and at first possibly getting hypnosis sessions so that you get comfortable with your subconscious state and how to do it yourself, and to walk yourself down there, and then to reprogram and put those tools there from the top to the bottom. Mm-hmm. As above, so below. As below, so above. As within, so without. As without, so within. As it is so. And so it is. That's basically, you're creating your own reality with those framework. And from there, you can reprogram and change any thoughts or beliefs you have from there. Knowing that what you do from the upper realms affects your lower realms, and what you do from the lower realms affects your higher realms. So you want to go to those lower realms, and don't ignore them, people. That's the problem. You're running away, trying to only be positive, but that's an imbalance. Okay, you got to have the positive and negative together, right? The smoke's wrapped with the flame, but you can use them to each other's advantage. So you can
the high rollers to the rock and roll. Wait,
from the
remember Sarah?
Sarah Palin.
What did she say?
She's campaigning for Trump right now, and she was in Iowa saying from the rock and rollers to the holy rollers. So it's and all the people rocking a baby in a baby cradle. So it's like everybody's included here. So it is funny, but yeah. So
you just remind me of that. Okay.
So rock and rollers. Put your guitar down for a second and really, really think about how the low state affects the high state too. Not just staying in the high state and trying to get to that next high and being an addict like that, and avoiding all the negative or perceived negatives in life that cause you pain or obligations or boring, so-called boring things that you have to go through. When you can find the joy within that, within the boring thing even, and be excited just to be alive and be breathing and have this opportunity to do so, you're in that positive state. And if you're not there right now, it's okay. Just work on getting your lower layers where you live right now comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that place is not a bad place to run from, and it's okay. And you actually like it. Not enough to like be attached to the point where you stay there forever, but enough to be like, I can handle it here until I get out. And I have the tools on how to get it out, and I'm going to get out. And I've done this before, and I'm going to do this again. And each time I do this, it gets easier and easier to the point where even if I get here, I'm going to get out, and within 24 hours, I got my bail. I have my bail, get out of jail free card. I'm going to get out of here. And instead of living that mental prison that we all put ourselves in to suffer every day, we don't have to live in that negative, fear-based state where we're paralyzed, where we have paralysis. We can get out with the tools that we bring down through the self-hypnosis, that we bring down through the meditation, and drop to the lower consciousness states for ourselves later, just in case we go there. And
what about people that are so depressed that they do turn to drugs, or there are people that smoke cigarettes, they can't quit, people that gain weight. I mean, I don't know, just
because they're subconsciously trying to control their situation, and by rewarding themselves with a cigarette, which is taking a deep breath, by the way, it's like a sense of oxygen or meditation, it gives them that little piece of happiness or peace. And then the same thing with that chocolate cake or whatever they're eating, it's another reward. So you're just tricking yourself into feeling a false sense of pleasure and reward for something, because you want to get that, and you feel like you're failing or something's not working out right. And since you feel like that on the outside, you want to have control on the inside somehow by controlling what you eat or controlling what you smoke. You have complete control over that. But where that comes from is feeling out of control with your manifestation abilities. Because if you felt confident with your manifestation abilities and you understand fully consciously how you manifest and you had control over that, you wouldn't be trying to control these other things, because you're just grasping on to what you can control, which is something very simple, such as eating or what you smoke, whether you destroy your body or not, right? These are things no one else can control but you. But when you realize that you can control your thoughts on a very deep level, and you can control what you think, so then you can control what you experience, and you can control what you manifest in your life. When you can get to that level of realization, you don't need to control all these other things anymore, and you lose the sense of powerlessness. And then you feel empowered and able and happy that you can do that, and you no longer have the fear of being out of control.
Didn't you used to smoke?
I used to smoke, yes. So I know where it comes from, that sense. The mechanical part is there, where you just like the sense of comfort of having something in between your fingers that is soft, and the aroma of the smoke and the feeling, and then the social aspect that comes with it. But the more and more I dissected it, the more I realized it's not about the nicotine. It's not about the routine thing. It is about, oh my God, I'm just doing this just to do it. I'm just in a repetition mode. But then once I realized, oh my God, I feel like everything that I want to do, that I have aspirations for, are not happening the way I want, or I don't feel like I have control over this creative process. So I'm grabbing on to the things that I can control, and nobody can stop it. No one can stop me from getting the cigarettes. They're completely legal. I choose to smoke them or not, and that's it. And it's my freedom. But really, it just came from a sense of powerlessness, that if I had complete control about how I wanted my life to be, I wouldn't be smoking cigarettes. It just came from that fear of being out of control, and the struggle to try to gain that control back in whatever way I can, consciously. But it was just a misguided attempt to do that. Like, if I knew about all these tools about how to manifest and how to do these different things, which I learned during smoking, and I analyzed my smoking, and then I eventually did quit because of that. I saw, you know what? I don't want to smoke anymore, and I have the power to do that. It's in my control. And I quit.
I don't know how you could do that.
Because you can use willpower. But I also had the perception that I have the complete power to do so, and it's all in my mind. But before, I had the slave mentality of like, oh, I have to have another nicotine, I need the cigarette, and I created this craving pattern inside my body and inside my mind, and that was controlling me, and I felt like the chemical is controlling my life. I'm a slave to the chemical. I am a chemical dependent. And I was feeding this nonsense to my mind, and so my mind believed it. But then when I realized, no, you know what? I decide whether I smoke or not. I'm free. No chemical has that power over me. That's a lie. And when I realized that I had the power to do that, and from that state of seeing it this way, of seeing it with this power, it was easy. But you know what? If I was coming from this hard place, I'd have to use more tools, because I've also quit. I started smoking years later after that time, after quitting. And then I did use some tools to get out of it, and then I quit for good.
Oh, wow.
So, but I wasn't in the high state anymore. I was in a lower state when I quit the second time, and I needed a little bit of the tools to help me along. And I knew the knowledge of loops, like do not repeat something more than 3 times unless you wish to repeat it more than 3 times. So I don't want to create this loop process that's negative for my health. So I replaced it with other things. And when I replaced it with those other things, eventually the craving for the cigarette went away. And I wanted to do the other things.
Well, I'm an addict. And I'm proud. I
There's-
love it. I love being an addict.
There's
You know
nothing
what?
wrong with being an addict.
I love being good. Because I love caffeine. I love it. I love this stuff. I'm addicted to it. And
And you're proud.
I don't see any reason for me not to do it. I mean, it makes me feel good. You know, I wake up in the morning and I have my cup of coffee, and I feel so much better.
Right. And see, you feel
makes
better.
me
It works for you.
happy.
It works for you. See, it's making you happy. And they have done studies where there's people that drink morning cup of joe and they live longer than the other people that don't.
Why do they call it Joe? Where did that even come from?
I don't know. I think some
That's
guy,
weird.
Joe, was really into coffee.
Yeah, who is this Joe?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I think he's friends with John. So the one we make, name the toilets after. So I'm not sure.
Yeah,
And then they
that
probably know
doesn't
some
make
guy
sense
named Lou too. So it's Lou, John, and Joe. But anyway, any plain Jane can tell you that when you wake up
Who
in the
are all these
morning
people?
and you,
Is Jane someone I should know about?
I guess so. So it's Mary Jane. It's the Peter Parker's wife, secret lover, and all that stuff. So no. Anyways, when you drink coffee or the thing that's making you happy or go, it's putting you into a mind state or a chemical state that works for you. And so when I say that it's nothing wrong with being an addict, I'm saying, hey, so you're addicted to oxygen? Oh, shame on you. You need to breathe. I mean, we need these things. They're like spiritual food, right?
Right. Well, I used to be addicted to exercising.
Mm-hmm.
I exercised every single day, at least 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I loved it. I loved going to the gym. It was not a chore to me at all. I looked forward to it. I thought it was awesome. And I would tell people, I'm addicted to exercise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it released those endorphins for you, got you into that feel-good state. So you're addicted. Technically, the psychologists would say, no, but you're addicted to the endorphins going off in your brain, and you just want to see a light show up there. But the thing is who are they to judge, and who's anybody to judge? And when I start having a problem, when there's this huge book called the DSM that starts listing every single mental disorder that there is, and it's a big book that lists every single mental disorder that there is, and they label all these different things, and it's stupid, because why it's a book for idiots is because it doesn't recognize the body as a whole. In holistic healing, you see everything and how it's all connected, and when you separate these things, you just compartmentalize a part of your mind and label you that as that, and say you are this, you have this, but that's not true. And just by saying, also, like, identifying with a disease or something, if you keep walking around saying I'm diabetic, I have low blood sugar, and my body can't process the sugar right, I just can't process it. I have these symptoms, I want to go get checked, I'm pretty sure I'm diabetic because I read online, and I have all these symptoms of having the diabetics.
Never go online.
Or whatever, right? So but when you identify with having a problem, which there's many out there, right? You can identify, every single healthy person could probably be diagnosed with multiple things. You actually take on those traits, because the mind tells the genetics or your DNA what to do, tells the codons, hey, fire this off, do this with whatever mental image you give it. And what happens when you constantly say, I have that problem?
Can you do it the opposite way?
Yes.
So you can say, oh, I'm healthy, I'm
healthy.
Okay, let's say you are diabetic. Can you actually heal yourself
yes.
with your mind?
There's cancer. There's cancer patients that have 4 to 6 months to live, and they go back after watching optimist videos that are funny, like all comedy and things that make them laugh all the time, and keeping everything light, not really focusing on the disease at all, but only the good things in life and how happy they are and their family and etc. And when they do that, when they go back to get their checkup, the cancer that was in the tumor or whatever has gone. It usually goes away, or they say they can't explain it. The doctors can't explain it.
Well, then why doesn't everybody do this? And if this is really true, why are there so many people dying of cancer every single day?
Because there's a huge pharmaceutical companies that have banded together to suppress these alternative forms of healing. There's just something I saw on Facebook today.
There are people that turn to alternative methods.
Well, check this out.
Okay, wasn't Steve Jobs one of them?
No, there's people that do it. No, they exist, but I'm just saying, and people have been healed this way. It's just that it's not mainstream enough yet. Like, okay, on Facebook, I saw on my wall someone had shared how they are using sound frequencies to cure cancer by destroying the cancer cells, and they demonstrate it by, with these different frequencies, glass will shatter and different things happens. So they showed as a demonstration how that's what happens to the cancer cells when they're using these certain hertz frequencies, like at 500 and whatever it does this, and at this one it does this, it kills leukemia cells. And so they're actually using sound frequencies to destroy cancer cells and heal the positive ones.
Don't you think Steve Jobs would have done that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I think maybe he was around his Apple products too much that caused the EMF that probably killed him. But
No, but seriously, you would think that a man like that, I know that he did seek alternative, methods to treat his cancer.
yeah, no, I'm sure he did, and it also depends on, I believe, what stage you're in and how many cells have been affected and in what way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure he got a high level of EMF radiation over his time in Apple and creating the software and testing it and being
But that
involved.
shouldn't matter. I mean, if your mind is so powerful and everything like that, that you should be able to heal yourself no matter what.
Right, but I mean, it comes from also the level of his belief. So maybe he believes in that stuff, but how deep is it? Like, okay, for one, I could jump off a ladder and be fine, and then I could go a little higher and jump out of from a top of a building and then land, and then they can shoot me out of a plane without a parachute, and I could land on the ground because I believe it. But you have to truly believe it. Mm-hmm. So at what point do you stop the car in front of you that's going 100 miles an hour, and you believe that you can do that because your mind can change the physics and the space around the car, but you have to fully believe it. And then if you're vibrating it with fear, like all you can think about is this car's gonna hit me, I'm gonna die, you're gonna die. And chances are that's gonna happen because it's right in front of your face, and when it's in front of your face, it tends to be stronger than and change your vibratory frequency. But that's where this practice comes in, where even if something negative is in your face, you hold your frequency. It's something the Pleiadians called being a keeper of frequency.
Can you do this and not know that you're doing it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like my mom did that.
Okay, so your mom was doing it.
Yeah, I don't know if she talked to the Pleiadians. What are they called again?
The Pleiadians.
Yeah.
Pleiadians. Or Pleiadians. I just call them it's from the Pleiades, so they're the Pleiadians or Pleiadians. I just say the Pleiadians.
Pleiadians. And
yeah.
So, I don't know if she was talking to those guys or not, but, my mom was diagnosed.
Or they were talking to her.
Well, maybe. Who knows? But she, she was diagnosed with cancer. Actually, she was diagnosed with a whole litany of things. It was ridiculous how she had, aneurysm on her aorta the size of a small orange. She had
Jesus.
No, that wasn't it. And she had emphysema. She had cancer in her kidneys and her adrenal glands, and let's see what else. She was going blind, which, I don't really believe her that she was going blind, because I will tell you something. I have to tell this story because this really bothers me. So she's telling me how, I can't see, because she has that macular degenerative disease. And so, she could see a little bit, like her peripheral, she can kind of see. But like the middle part, she couldn't see. So anyway, I go to see her and everything. And you know what? The first thing she says to me, she goes, "You're wearing that?" And I'm like, I thought you couldn't see. Like, how can you see what I'm wearing?
And of course she's upset with what she's disapproving of what you're wearing because she's your mother.
Yeah, that and my hair, she says, well, when I was your age, I used to have my hair fixed and I'm like, oh, great, thank you. But anyway, she had so many things wrong with her. She had skin cancer. She had, I can't think of everything else, but so many things. High blood pressure. It was so high that when they took it, the needle went all the way around the thing.
My God.
So the doctor's telling me she's going to die, and she needs to eat healthy, and they need to do these surgeries so that they can help save her. And so I'm telling my mom this, and she first off, she didn't believe it, and she didn't want to do it. And so she escaped from the hospital. She pulled all the IVs out of her arms and everything, and she cussed out all the nurses and stuff, told everybody to go to hell. And so she went home, and she lived for another 5 years. And this doctor was telling, he made it seem like she was going to die in a day. Like right now. And she didn't. And you know why? Because she didn't believe it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? And the other thing she told me, when the doctors told her that they wanted her to do the chemotherapy treatment, and the radiation, for her cancer, she said, "No, that'll kill me." So
She's right.
she's like, well, I know that will for sure kill me, so
That'll for
I don't
sure.
even want to do it.
Yeah, if I'm struggling now, that'll sure finish me off now after that.
Right, but I mean, with all the things that were wrong with her, I mean, for her to live for that
That
long,
long,
and
right.
she lived the way she wanted to.
Right. She didn't change her lifestyle accordingly.
Well, exactly. You know, she was still smoking. I mean, she did cut back to a pack a day, so that was much better.
But
you
so
know.
she got to live the life that she wanted. So it sounds like this is a person that's really taking control over her mind, over her reality, and says, no,
Right.
I'm not going to buy into the consensus reality.
Right.
I am going to live my own reality, and you're in my reality. That's the way it's going to be. And she took the charge and did that. And she was rewarded for it for another 5 years of living the lifestyle she wanted to live on her terms, without being in hell with the chemotherapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other people's reality, you know, that maybe they would quit cigarettes, and maybe they would come, you know, see me for hypnotherapy, or get an energy healing session, or go seek alternative care, a massage, or whatever it is, and do everything in their power to beat it. And when they do that, and they say, I beat cancer, and then now they're cancer free, they've not only claimed the reality, let's say in a way that says, I don't care about my fate, maybe that's what she wanted, but in a way that's like, I'm going to be healthy too, and I'm going to be a positive expression of the universe, and I'm not going to let this imbalanced cancer cells going to take over my body. I'm not going to allow that to happen, and I refuse to accept my prescribed fate from the doctor. I'm going to take my reality into my own hands.
Well, that's what
My
she
health
did,
into my own hands.
so.
Yeah, so she's a pioneer. We need more people like that will say, no, I don't want to die. I don't want to suffer at the end of my life. If I'm going to be alive, I want to be on my feet. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she's saying, and other people need to demand, because there's so many people that are alive, but they're not really living.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going through the motions, and you might as well be a dead person, because you know, life really does. I'm not advocating going and committing suicide, but what I'm saying is is it's not worth it then. Like, why are you waking up and going through this whole struggle when you're attached to some little thing that you're afraid of losing, that you're afraid to change, or afraid what people think about, or you're afraid it's going to fail, so you don't make any moves and you stay in the same spot you were in. So how many people can look at their life and look at what they've done and have seen that time has gone by, but they haven't really changed much, and the things are all the same. But that's only there because life is naturally progressive, okay? And when you don't line up with that progression, you get left behind. And when you see other people making strides and moving forward, and you're really just not, you're kind of stagnated, you're the one that's going to breed all the problems. All the mosquitoes, they only breed in water that is stagnant. And so you need to be proactive in life and go with the progression. And if you don't go with that flow, you're going to create disease and illness, and you're not going to produce anything of any feel-good worth for you. That's not to say that you're worthless or you're only what you produce, but I'm just saying this is the reality you're creating for yourself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, while you're in a good spot, you should do... What was it that you were saying to do?
So when you're in a good state, do your affirmations, do all this stuff, because you're already there.
Right.
So keep yourself
you have
there.
that foundation, so that when you have those days of I don't know, I don't care, you know,
those
you're
other
just
things
really
will kick
apathetic,
in, right?
You're really, you know, kind of down, or something traumatic happens to you, or something bad happens to you,
Right.
Or, you know, you lose someone, or
Right.
you know, or you lose your job, you know, whatever the case may be, then you have something to fall on, like that safety net, like you were
Right.
saying, you know, if you're on your tightrope, you know, walking along and stuff, and there's that pit below you, well, you got a safety net there, so when you fall, right, you have something
Right.
to catch you.
And that's at multiple layers. Like I said before, I really want to drive that home. When you're in the positive levels already and you do your mantras and everything, that's great. But if you fall so low that you don't even think about your mantras, and they're not really hitting you because those mantras aren't even at this deep level that you're at, because you've gone so deep into your depression, you need to work on those levels too. Please include those in your regimen. So meaning you need to do the self-hypnosis or meditative work, and it's something that you do even if you just took a day or two to do it. You got to do it. It'll probably take more than a day.
Change the channel.
You got to change the channel. But I'm saying to honestly, consciously go to that room that is dirty and smelly and you don't want to go into it. But you need to go in there so you can clean it up with the stuff, okay? So you use the cleaner, which is these tools, to go clear out that muck, which is doing the reprogramming work through self-hypnosis or getting a hypnotherapy session or doing the deep meditative work. And when you do that, if you ever lose someone in your life or you have something really bad happen to you and you get knocked down, even with the mantras and all the other positive stuff you're doing, and you get knocked off the horse and you go down there and you plunge deep down in the ocean, you got the tools to swim, to do you have your oxygen tank there, you have your flippers, you have the stuff, you have your equipment to get yourself out of there. And not only that, you're comfortable where you are because you don't feel like you're going to suffocate and die. Okay? That's what I'm saying, is do the preventative work and don't wait, because it's not like, oh yeah, you're right, I should do that. I'll do that work tomorrow, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And then if it knocks you off, you're just going to float around and flounder around for another how long until you get back up to be able to do the work. So while you're up there, take advantage of that state and work on your lower layers. Bring the tools down to your lower layers and reinforce the positive where you are now, and hold that as valuable, because it is hard to get back up once you get knocked down. So don't let yourself get knocked off. You got to be like those bull riders on TV. You got to fight so hard to stay on. The goal is so hard, and life's going to be the bull and going to try to knock you off, but you got to expect that. And when the bull tries to knock you off, you try your hardest to stay on, not fall off. But when you do, you have your clown by you, and you have these people that try to help your team, and you have your methods so you don't get hurt and get trampled on when you're down there. Okay?
Yeah, or you can be like Rocky.
And once,
just train every day your hardest.
Yeah.
So that when you go in that ring,
yeah,
to get knocked down.
You knock out. It doesn't matter. You'll knock them out. And you'll get right back up. Like, because that's what Rocky says. When it's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. How many times you can get knocked down and get yourself back up, because life's going to do that to you.
And the only way for him to do that was to train. Really,
and it is
really
about
hard.
training. Thank you. So it's real tangible effort produces real tangible results. If you don't do the physical work, whether you're working in the astral plane or not, you have to keep doing the work. If you don't do it, it's not going to do anything. It's like going to the gym and then working out one time and being like, why are my muscles not where I want them to be? Why am I not ripped? I went last Friday, and why isn't it working? I haven't manifested anything. Okay, but you're not continuing doing it like a routine. You need a route to do it like a routine. Yeah,
no, totally makes sense.
So I'm just addressing the people that know the information but aren't putting it to use, and also the people that know this stuff but then get knocked into those really dark places, don't know how to get over it or past it or connect back again with their tools. And I recommended what to do with that. And we also addressed how do you get over limiting beliefs and fears and stuff like that, which is basically doing all the work wherever you are. So we pretty much covered everything as far as that goes. And I'm serious, people, everybody listening, go get a hypnotherapy session, go listen to something on the internet that's positive, whatever your positive channel or outlet is. Get that knowledge and feed yourself like nectar every day. Feed yourself the knowledge and the fruit that you need for your mind. Okay, it's just as important as your physical.
Nice.
Okay. Well, this is Kaalidaas signing out. Thank you for joining Pure Light Radio with Mother Destiny, Modern Mother Destiny.
Modern Mother. Okay. Bye.
Have a good evening or day wherever you guys are, and bye.